Our son, Mike, he was riding his bike in front of the house, and then somebody hit him, and then they ran off.
Before he passed out, he said his stomach hurt. It was all swollen. Do everything you can to save our boy, please.
No blood.
What? Leviticus 17:10.
The words of Jehovah himself. Absolutely no blood.
Okay, you both have to stay out here.
But
I promise to keep you informed of your son's condition.
If we don't give this kid blood, he's not going to make it. Pulse 170. He doesn't have much. His poor little heart's pumping so fast. His pressure's taking a dive. No wonder this kid's lost so much blood. I don't know how you can keep so... At least this boy has a doctor who cares. He's lost so much, I'm not sure how much he can spare. If he was conscious, I'm sure he'd think. You're handling all this much better than I am.
it's hard, you know. Faith. It's hard these days to be true to it.
But I know, Mike. I mean, if you'd known what was happening, Mike would have agreed with our decision. Right, Homer?
Mike devoted his life to Jehovah God as one of his witnesses. He respected the sanctity of life and blood.
I miss him. Oh, I miss our boy.
I'm excited to see how you're progressing. With redness in the throat, it was important to run a swab culture to rule out a possible infection. Obstructions can be tough to catch. Glad you ordered these x-rays. Sharp eyes, doctor. This patient's weak state demanded the introduction of intravenous fluid. To properly address and treat the patient's pain, I see you opted for the med syringe. Good choice. You thought this patient's continuing care through. The hospital staff should thank you for your thorough plan and highlighted reminders. A confusing case, to be sure, made more complicated by bad or withheld outside information. I'm glad you stuck to the protocols and made the correct diagnosis. Brilliant work, doctor. The level of care you afforded this patient exceeded my expectations. Monty? Stabbed? Do all the nurses have alibis? I'm glad to see you checked rhythm. In a case like this, I can't believe the RR on this. I found this patient's BP particularly telling. You did too. Good work. Good work. The blood gas numbers confirmed this patient's breathing problem. Good job. This patient required blood labs, and the data should have warned you of possible anemia, malnutrition, and alcohol poisoning. Signs of wheezing, labored breathing, or rapid breaths need attention. You helped the patient by administering oxygen via mask. The right sharp eyes, doctor. This patient's weak state demanded the introduction of intravenous fluid. Good. You injected antibiotics to help the patient's immune system battle Before you treat the wound, it's important to cleanse the area. Well done. Before you treat the wound, it's important to cleanse the area. Well done. Not an easy treatment to administer, but a necessary one in this case. You scored high marks by choosing the test tube. Looks like your sewing skills came in handy on this case, didn't they? You correctly applied topical medication. It's nice to see you didn't forget the basics. You needed to bandage the wound? Good. You noted all necessary hospital orders and communicated them clearly. You did it, doctor. You identified the wound and made the correct diagnosis. Brilliant work, doctor. The level of care you afforded this patient exceeded my expectations. Good. You injected antibiotics to help the patient's immune system battle. Before you treat the wound, it's important to cleanse the area. Well done. Looks like your sewing skills came in handy on this case, didn't they? You correctly applied topical medication. It's nice to see you didn't forget the basics. You needed to bandage the wound. Before you discharge a patient, you need to be more careful to communicate the do's and don'ts, doctor. Most of the cases that roll through here are routine and, dare I say, predictable. But occasionally we see an exotic one. Good catch. I'm impressed with your diagnosis. Brilliant work, doctor. The level of care you afforded this patient exceeded my expectations. You faced a difficult decision with Mr. Farrow, doctor. Let's walk through the file to talk about through the roof. You put the EKG to good use in this instance. I can't believe the RR on this. Good job. This patient required blood labs, and the data should have warned you of possible anemia, malnutrition, and amphetamines. Huh. No wonder this patient presented so. The endotracheal tube protocol was required, and you followed through like a vet. Sharp eyes, doctor. This patient's weak state demanded the introduction of intravenous fluid. Good. You injected antibiotics to help the patient's immune system battle the. I see a few missing items from your hospital orders list, but otherwise, very good. I can't say whether you made the right decision or not, but you did save the patient's life. Now we're all going to have to brace ourselves for the consequences. You saved this patient's life, doctor. Well done.
I want to talk to you about that Jehovah's Witness case. It's a tough call, and I'm sorry you had to make it. I had this case in my third year. Young woman unconscious following an assault. She was going to die unless we gave her blood. But unfortunately, we found an advance directive in her wallet stating absolutely no blood products were to be given under any circumstances. And we couldn't contact her family, so I had to make the call, and we transfused her. She pulled through, but wasn't too happy when she learned what we did. She claimed that by giving the blood, we had damned her to hell for all eternity and got her expelled from her church. So a week later, we saw her again as a patient. Suicide attempt. She succeeded.